SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
When banking starts to feel less personal, you know where to find us. Community Bank. Deep roots, local people, personal banking. Visit communitybank.net. Member FDIC.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive.
She may have been right. Jury's still out. We're not done yet. Good morning. Welcome to Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. In the studio here in Southwest Mississippi, where I'm told Bertha made landfall yesterday. We didn't notice. We have one little light shower, and that was it. Other than that, it was sunny, and the heat index, I haven't double-checked it yet, I believe got up to 862 degrees. That's what it felt like. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Lance in the booth, as always. How you doing, sir?
Man, I am doing great. It was a little trafficy this morning. I wonder what people are up to. You know, are they trying to get a jump start on the weekend or what? But
I noticed that this morning, too, down here. It was a very noticeably larger traffic flow than usual for, before 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, busy, man. So how's everything been going with you? It's been a while.
Going good? Yeah, I know. We haven't caught up in a minute. And there has been a nonstop flood of stupid things happening.
Oh, of course. I mean, it is the world, you know.
Yeah. Well,
it is the world we live in.
I've got something I want to talk about in regards to that. Look it up. If you may not have ever heard of this, it's a theory. It comes from a philosophy professor of all things to explain why things seem so much crazier than they ever have before. It's called unicontext.
Okay.
Look that up and read about it. We're going to talk about it later in the show. But it's an interesting theory. I almost tried to get Alex to get her on the phone.
The philosopher.
Yes.
Our minds would have been blown this early in the morning.
Oh, no. My mind got blown years ago.
Well, it was Bertha that did it to you yesterday. It just you were expecting something and just not much happened. I was the same way here. It was absolutely hot. You could have cooked a turkey just on the yard, in the yard out there. 128,000 heat index. Got about a 5-minute shower, and thought that was awesome. It cooled everything off for a second, but it was unexpected. I didn't even know it was coming. 5 minutes of a shower later, and it was right back to 158 degrees. It seems so. It
was exactly the kind of rain shower that makes it hotter once it's over.
It was cool for about 5 minutes, and then it did what Mississippi does and gets back to business, man.
I want to tell you something. We continuously hear about, climate change. It's no longer global warming because they finally realized, sometimes it's cold too.
Yeah.
But climate change, and that's the problem, and it's so awful. I remember, this would have been early 90s, I would say. In my radio career, we were having a heat wave down here in Southwest Mississippi. People down in this area may remember this. And there was so much ado being made about it. It was going to be horrible. So I got a really long microphone cord. There were no wireless mics worth broadcasting on at that point. Ran a microphone out to the front of the station and fried an egg on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can do that right now, I think.
Yes. Yeah, you could do the same thing right now, but it's not new.
No, it's not. I think we've punted pretty much at this point on the climate change deal, too. I mean, for such a long time, that was something you heard about on a daily or weekly basis. The climate's changing. It's getting hotter. The ice caps are going to melt. I don't think anybody's paying attention to that now. We're building data centers left and right, and, it's just like, all right, that's in the rear view. We got stuff to do. I don't think it's any hotter. To me, though, the sun does look a little whiter than it used to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting older and I don't see things as well as I did, but it does seem to me that the sun's a little whiter than the yellow. But, that's just sometimes you just have memories that fade as you age, So,
well, it's so funny because you get a small kid and you get them to draw a picture of the yard or them playing on the playground or whatever, and they draw the sun up in the corner of the little quarter of a circle, and it's always yellow.
It's always in the corner, and it's always yellow, right? Yeah, that's the way I was always drawing it. You put the sun in the top left or top right corner, it was always yellow, and the moon was white, right?
Yes, that's the way it works. The thing is, it's always been white. If you go out in space, it's white. Yeah. We have a white star.
Mm-hmm.
But everything changes. That's the one thing that every generation seems to be just gobsmacked by, is the fact that nothing is going to stay the same over the course of your life.
Yeah, change is a constant. My mom always says that, and you kind of got to get on the train of embracing it. You get left behind.
Yes, you've got to cross metaphors and put it a different way. You've got to learn to roll with the punches.
Yeah. And it's tough. I mean, it really is. I mean, we've had, if you pay attention to the news cycle, as all of us do, and our listeners who are always, on top of things, if we ask a question, they have an answer. If we mess up, they let us know, and thank you, because we need to be accurate. But, there's so much information today. I think that's always one of the fun things to wake up in my role every day is to, you can think you figured it out last night, but by the time you get to work, there's something else that's already happened, and that news cycle is tight, and it moves quickly, and in certain things get a little bit emotional. We get a little emotional on things, and we got to get back to some of the more logical ways of doing things, I think. Emotion can steer you in bad directions, and so I hope that we do a good job here of getting you the facts and with a little bit of salt and pepper on top.
The theory of unicontext addresses that exact thing you're talking about. It deals with that exactly, and it makes a lot of sense once you listen to it. And like I said, we'll get into it later in the show.
Well, it's going to be hot today. If you're in the state of Mississippi, anywhere, I'll hit the weather for you guys. We're going to start off down here in the Delta, Mississippi, where it's usually about 5 degrees warmer, it seems. It's going to be 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms today, mainly after about 2 p.m., partly sunny, high near 94, but it's going to feel like 107. A little chance of showers tonight as well, about 40%. And most of those should show up before 11 p.m., and then maybe some slight chance of showers after that. Be around 75 degrees tonight, and then tomorrow should have a little chance of the wet stuff as well through the day, 20% of it. But again, tomorrow, 94 degrees in the Delta. So if you're out working in the fields and getting things done, you got to be very careful, stay hydrated. And then here around the Jackson metro area, you're going to have 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms today, again after 2, about the same copy and paste forecast as you had in the Delta. Little earlier chance of rain tonight about 9 o'clock is what you should expect, rain around the Jackson area. 76 would be the degrees that we're going to be feeling tomorrow. Mostly sunny, high near 96, heat index up to 106. Not much of a chance of rain, though, here in the metro area tomorrow or through the weekend. So it looks like it's going to be high skies and very hot. Then we get up to northeast Mississippi, 50% chance of showers today, high near 86 degrees. When I read that, I thought that was a misprint, but up around Iuka, it's going to be around 86, partly sunny. Should have some rain, though, 50% chance of it, and some northeast winds around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, about a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms, and tomorrow, Friday, and that'll happen mainly afternoon. And it'll be about 88 degrees, very pleasant for this time of year. So you folks up there in the Pickwick area and all those, the boating will be ready to roll, and the sun will be, compromising with you a little bit this weekend.
I'm going to put things in perspective for people that are tired of the heat, okay? This is the standard to compare yourself to. Mose, that's on the text line all the time.
Oh, yeah.
He's always on the C Spire text line. Great guy. You know what he was doing yesterday?
No.
Now keep in mind
Picking
that
peas and stuff.
he might would have preferred that more. This was down here in southwest Mississippi. The heat index was like 111, 112. Early yesterday morning, he informed me that he had 30 acres of hay on the ground to bale.
There you go. I knew he was in the middle of something outside. I knew. We had peas picking and butter beans and hay and.
Well, Mose is usually up to something outside, but as you go through the day, if you think, man, it's hot, compare it to having to bale 30 acres of hay
that
today.
Was miserable.
It'll put it in perspective, and all of a sudden, you'll have a great day.
I'm not baling hay, so that's right.
Yes.
Well, the coast is going to be nice as well today. 89 of roughly the high tonight, 79, and then tomorrow around 90. So you guys got it made up in the northeast corner. And the southern part of the state's going to have some nice temps. And, again, not much rain to worry about on the coast, even though you've had Bertha kicking around down there. Didn't really do a whole lot, so thank goodness.
Yeah, well, had a little light bit of rain, a little light bit of wind, which was just kind of stirring the soup. That's all it was good for at that point. But at least they're having good temperatures in the Mississippi mountain country up in the northeast.
Right. Woodall Mountain.
Yeah. What is it, 800-something feet?
Yeah, I can throw a ball that high. I'm kidding.
That's one of us. That's good to know. All right, we're just finding our feet and figuring out which way is up and which end of the magic talkie stick to speak into. We'll continue getting warmed up when we come back here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Mississippi.
Grab another cup of coffee and start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
I'm gonna get up in the morning, hit Highway 49.
Sing it, baby.
Get up in the morning, hit Highway 49. I be looking for my baby, Melvina down on my mind.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. You ever noticed, that harkens back to a different time in Mississippi and in America, but have you ever noticed some places you walk in the door and they still know your name? At Community Bank, that's how banking works. They're a bank that knows community because, well, they live in the community. And when you walk in, you're more than an account number. You're not just another stat they have to check off. No matter what your banking needs are, you'll talk to real people who care about your goals. Community Bank, a local bank built on relationships. You can stop by your neighborhood location or just learn more from the comfort of your recliner at communitybank.net. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this headline over here on Facebook. Is the
Man,
world
I didn't
really
hit them yet? The headlines.
Yeah,
there's headlines everywhere.
Oh, I've got my usual sheet here on the pad. This one, though, just kills me. Is the world really getting stupider? No, the people are.
Yeah, the world's fine, yeah.
Yeah, the dirt is just as smart as it's always been. Thanks for the bad wording of that headline.
Yeah, there's always some good ones, too. You always wonder who did the spell check or editorial on some of those, you know?
Well, in a lot of cases, it's very obvious. You can immediately identify who did the spell check. It was no one.
No one, yeah. Or AI. Unsupervised AI just wrote the article.
You know.
You got the writers back there at the house drinking coffee. Like, yeah, just let AI do it today.
You talk about that. Did you hear what happened with OpenAI?
Oh, yeah, man, it hacked.
Yeah, they were testing a new model.
Company, yeah.
They unhooked it from the internet. It had no internet access, and they gave it a test. Well, it didn't know the answer, so it figured out and found a bug, a backdoor to allow it to get on the internet anyway, and then went to a platform called Hugging Face. It's a website.
Hugging Face. Yeah, when I read that, I'm like, oh, that's got to be new.
Yeah, no, it's been around for a few years, but you've got to have login information to get in. So once it jailbroke itself and got on the internet and went to Hugging Face, realized it couldn't get in, and then hacked into Hugging Face, went and found some user credentials somewhere, logged in, and got all the answers to the questions for the test it was doing, and got it perfectly right. It did all of that. It hacked 2 different things so it could pass a test.
All on its own, too. That's what the creator said. I
think I'd rather have that doing the spell check.
I don't know, man. That stuff's kind of spooky to me. I mean, when you have AI breaking out of its jail cell because it needs to pass a test humans have given it, and it finds the most resourceful way to do that is to go steal the information from a fairly startup-sized company, not one big that doesn't have all this, security around it. You go, that's the weak spot there. And AI knew that, and it went and found what it needed and came back and reported in and scored a perfect score. That's pretty dang creative, if you ask me, and a little bit spooky and scary.
Well, it just makes you wonder what's coming.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot more than that, I would imagine. But just one of those things, right? I mean,
it's the world as it exists right now.
That's right. So I don't believe the like you said, the world, the earth, isn't getting stupider. People seem to be, and on the other side of that too, you have the polar opposite, where we're doing things that we've never done before, as far as intellectually.
Yeah.
We the spectrum's broad, the berth is wide.
And here's the problem when you try to figure out who to listen to. There's a guy named Ken Olsen. He was the guy that started and ran Digital Equipment Corporation. You may have heard of them. They're no longer around, which is relevant to this. In 1977, in an interview, Ken Olsen, they were making mini computers for businesses. 1977, he said during this interview, and I quote, "There is no reason for any individual to have a computer in their home." The company is no longer around. What does that tell you? But that was in 1977, a recognized leader in the computer industry saying, nobody needs one of these at home.
Yeah, you can just go to work.
That's how wrong you can be, though, while being an industry leader, being one of the smartest guys in the room, and still get it catastrophically wrong. So
little did they know that Oregon Trail was going to be in high demand. On the old green face.
Well, that's the game that taught me that I don't know who Terry is, but you don't want to mess with him because you can die from dysentery real quick.
Right, man. There's so many pitfalls on that trail.
Why hasn't anyone done a Mississippi version of that?
I don't know. I wish they would bring it back for like another game, like spruce it up or something. One of the great games. I mean, how many hours did people spend pouring into this? You just typed what is it like? If I looked at the keyboard, it's probably like ASDF and JKL semicolon. Those are probably like your controls. I don't remember what they were, but you didn't have many options. But the options to die on the trail were unlimited.
I'm going to throw this out here just as a thought starter for a Mississippi version of Oregon Trail. Mississippi Trail, the stack.
The stack.
There you go.
Yeah, the stack at rush hour. Yeah.
You make it through that and reach Byram, and you win.
Yeah, I like that. It would be fun,
just my thought.
I think we need to. Somebody needs to come up with it and get creative, though, because that was one of those things. Again, going back, the company missed it. Obviously, the equipment company. Well, nobody's going to need a computer. Think about where we would be right now if that were the case. I mean, do you even remember not having a computer at that?
Oh yeah. I remember getting my first computer way back in the Stone Age. It was powered by a hand crank on the side. In all seriousness, there were no disk drives really at that point. I had a cassette tape drive. Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this. Used to, when you hooked into the internet, it sounded like you were torturing a small robot.
Yeah. I remember when there was no internet. I mean, you just put in a floppy disk, and whatever was on that disk is what you played, and you'd hit something run, and it would start the game. And it was all things were DOS oriented and key prompts. So come a long way with a point and click.
Well, the cassette tape drive just recorded programs using that same tortured robot noise that you used to hook to the internet, and you would hook it in, and if you had a big program you were trying to load, it played at a normal speed for a cassette, so it could take up to 30-45 minutes to load a program.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody still has like the old discs that like AOL and Netscape and all that. You get like the free 30 minutes or something, and you have stacks of those. Wonder if anybody still has those laying around like as trophies. Like, I got 200 of these 30-minute discs over here. You remember? I mean, that stuff. I mean, I remember trying to do like term papers in college. You'd have to go stand in line.
Yes.
And then to use the printer was like, oh, God, hopefully this thing works. And there's 400 people are trying to do the same thing. We're a lot more efficient now in those ways. Well,
we're a lot more advanced.
Yeah, exactly.
My current car tells me every time I change lanes.
Mine's a 2013, so yeah, it's a kind of backwards in the world of cars today. It doesn't offer a whole lot of assistance, but what I do appreciate is it gets me where I need to go.
That's all that matters.
That's what matters. That's the simple things in life, Dave.
We have too many bells and whistles. That's our problem.
A lot of folks happen to have some bells and whistles today. A lot of birthdays.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. Larry Manetti, remember him from Magnum P.I., 79 years old.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson, 65. You're talking about people knowing your name still. Cheers. Marlon Wayans, 54. Love the Wayans brothers. That's one funny family, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter fame, 37 years old. Many other great movies he's been in since. Philip Seymour Hoffman passed in 2014. Too many movies to mention there. Again, the guy was just a genius. A little tortured, though, but a genius nonetheless.
He won an Academy Award.
Yes, sir. Katherine Hahn, 53. That's WandaVision and Parks and Recreation. Some musicians out there with Slash is 61. Guns N' Roses, we know that. Alison Krauss, 54 years old today. Michelle Williams, 47. I thought I saw a couple of others on here. Let's see, the Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, he passed in 1975, and then one of our celebrity figures here that had kind of an interesting run there back in the 90s, Monica Lewinsky, 53 years old. God love the woman, man. Goodness gracious. What she had to go through, and came out the other end of it, which is it's always nice to see people land on their feet after something like that.
She's got a great sense of humor about it.
That helps, doesn't it?
There's a thing that it still pops up every so often. Someone posted about what's the worst first job or internship you ever accepted because you were told it was going to look great on your resume, and she replied with just the emoji of the two big wide eyes side-eyeing over to the side. And I'm like, okay, she gets it.
Yeah, she's
good job.
One. She's smart.
Love it. We will continue. We've still got a lot to talk about, and we're going to do that coming up next here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From thesebro.com, take a deep dive into the news and debates driving the day, all on your ride to work. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi.
The Lone Ranger.
That's your fault. If you're watching SuperTalk TV, you know why Lance is chuckling. Welcome back here on this, what is it? Is it Thursday?
I think so. Yeah.
I hope it's Thursday. I've convinced myself it's Thursday, so it better be, or I'm going to be confused for the entire day. Sports, not a whole lot to talk about really right now, except for SEC Media Days.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly tell you, I have paid zero attention to any of it. I know that we'll have the boys have been taking good care of us during the week on the sports segment. I just, as far as sports go, we're in that amazing lull where there's really nothing amazingly important going on. Major League Baseball, obviously, you got the standings and the games, and we'll cover that kind of quickly because we'll have Brian on a little later to tell us a little bit more about the college football landscape and just the world we live in. It's such a concentrated sports cycle, and then it's just like you have nothing there for a minute, and I love it.
This is the time of year every year that Dixon took his vacation time.
Oh yeah, man, he'd have his trip to up to the Midwest
every
year, and then he'd have a little time in the summer. But as far as baseball goes, the Rays, they're 2.5 up on the Yankees right now as we're after the midpoint of the season. Both those are, Richard's a big Yankees guy, and he hadn't been giving him a lot of shade lately. But, 2.5 back, you're right there in striking distance. The Red Sox right behind them at 7 back, not playing as well, but you got the White Sox, who's had terrible seasons back to back to back to back, and all of a sudden they're 1 game up in the Central. They were a little higher up the pecking order a couple of weeks ago, it seemed, but the Guardians have come back. They're 1 game back, and the Twins are 5 back of that in the Central. The West is led by the Rangers. They're 500 right now at 51-51. Mariners are half game back at 51-52, and the Astros 2 games back. And then we get over to the National League, where the Braves are fairly comfortable right now, a 4-game lead over the Phillies, and the Marlins back 8. And Milwaukee Brewers, they're leading the Central. The Cubs are 7 back on that. The Cardinals 11.5 back, but have a winning record at 52-49. Pirates right there, too. So the Central's a pretty tough division right now. Almost every team's playing pretty good baseball. The Reds, you never know about them. They're 47-54, but the Pittsburgh Pirates are 53-50, 11.5 back, though, just like the Cardinals. So, but winning records there, which is, like I said, that's always a mess when you get everybody's playing good ball. And it's hard to make any kind of headway jockeying to that position. So the Brewers are in pretty good, comfortable spot there. And then the Dodgers, same way. They're 11.5 up on the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are 53-49. And the Padres are 14.5 back at 50-52. So that catches us up on Major League Baseball. It looks like the best record over the last, week or so has been the Arizona Diamondbacks, though. So they've been hot at 8-2. And trying to catch up a little bit to the Dodgers there, who are 65-38, really kind of tearing it up. And Milwaukee's 64-38. So you got 2 in the National League that are really playing good baseball. And on the northern side of that, there where you got, it looks like the Rays are probably the best team right now in the American League. A little flat over the last week, though, with a 5-5 record. But they have won 3 in a row. So baseball's so streaky. It's always fun to watch as you kind of get to the end there and you start ruling out the teams that have no hope in making the playoffs. And some of those teams will actually spoil. They'll be a spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always fun to get to that point. Got high school football. We'll be getting started mid-August all the way into, I think, August 21st is where most everybody's playing on that night. I believe that's when we get started on the high school football scoreboard show. And college is not far behind that either. So we'll get caught up a little bit more. I know there was some fireworks down in Tampa, which is an interesting place to me to have the SEC media days.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that won the choice.
The cigars or something, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but at any rate, that used to be the big cigar area in the United States was Tampa.
Oh, they were coming right up from Cuba.
They were rolling. They had some rollers and it was coming straight up the west side there. Have you ever really spent much time in Tampa, Clearwater? I've flown over it a few times, but never really, parachuted in much.
I probably cumulatively, I've spent maybe a couple of weeks down there in that area. Lovely area. Spent a ton of time in Pensacola.
Oh, I love Pensacola, man. As a kid, that seemed like the golden goose. It was just the town. And I loved old Destin too, and old Gulf Shores. Those are 2 of my favorite places on the planet.
Well, and as a kid, the big thing about going to Pensacola from Mississippi is you got to go through the tunnel in Mobile.
Yes, the tunnel. And
that was a big deal.
Laughing about it a couple weeks ago. We lived at the Holodome at Navarre. You remember the old Holodome?
Yes.
That place was awesome. Back then, though, hotels were a little different than what you see today. These things now, mostly condos is what's down there. But the old hotels, we would drive down. You wouldn't have a room, and you'd just pull in and, oh, yeah, hey, do you have a beach view? Yeah, man, we got a beach view. And you'd unload the station wagon and go in and stay for 3 or 4 days and felt like you died and gone to heaven and eat shrimp po' boys for a week,
Yeah, it's changed. It's not necessarily for the better.
No,
either.
It's just a lot more people, a lot more to do. But those of you who have still got the beach trip in front of you, I hope you'll have a blast. I know there's quite a few that'll be heading that way as the summer as you got the kids going back to school. I mean, I know that's hard to believe for me, but wow.
When did we start going back to school? At the end of July.
Oh, man, I don't know what to tell you on that. It's I enjoyed having a long summer as a kid. We could get in so much trouble, and no one would really know about it. Parents worked. Dad would come home for lunch, and he'd have his tuna fish and crackers and tell my sister and I to get out of the house. And so summers were a lot of fun. I don't know if there's anybody out there that has great memories of their summers, but we built forts and our neighborhood was constantly under construction, so there's always junk wood and stuff to use, and you could pirate that and put it to another use.
Well, I really don't hate to say it. I'm saying it so much these days, but back in my days, you went back to school right after Labor Day.
Yeah, it was like August something, right?
Oh, September.
Okay, yeah.
We used to start like right at the beginning of September, right after Labor Day. And now we're starting, I think, down here, what is it? First day for kids is July 27th. Mm-hmm. Next week.
Got to get that learning.
I still say we're confusing quality with quantity sometimes, but that's a whole different conversation for another time.
Well, we used to have to carry about 50 pounds of books, so you needed that extra month to get back in shape for school. Because you had to tote all that. I rode the bus, too. I mean, I was a bus kid. My sister and I rode until I was old enough to drive, and then it was kind of fun. But, man, I can't tell you how much trouble and what I learned on the bus to school and back every day. Goodness gracious.
Most of it we can't repeat on the air due to FCC regulations.
I've learned so many things on the bus. And as I've said before, we had the greatest bus driver of all time, Disco Danny. And he had the shirt and everything with Disco Danny on the back. Had a great afro. I mean, I was just, in heaven, man. On that bus, we didn't know how good we had it.
You never do.
That's
which
right.
makes you wonder, in 20 years, are we going to be looking back at 2026 and saying, oh, those were the good old days?
I just, when I see everyone in those carpool lines and everything, I'm like, man, I mean, what do y'all do for a living? I hope y'all have a great boss, because those lines are so long, man. I don't remember that as a kid.
No.
I went to a big school, too, but, almost everybody seemingly rode the bus. And I don't know. It's interesting. I had a lot of fun on it. I know the buses are different these days, and you're on them a lot longer. But, yeah, it was a great experience for us because, we got to know everybody in the area.
That is one of many reasons why I wake up every day with a smile on my face, because my youngest child is 25. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am so out of that at this point.
Get it done, huh?
Yeah, I'm a happy man, because I just roll over and go, yep, nope. We don't have to get up at 6 o'clock.
Well, I mean, that's you do though, but just not to get kids to school, right?
The guy whose alarm started with a 4 this morning is bragging he doesn't have to get up at 6. That's a little disingenuous, but still.
Well, hey man, we with all this coming up, Mississippi State big season on the hook. We kind of covered the Ole Miss side of the schedule yesterday.
Yep.
Mississippi State, they'll start off with ULM in Starkville on Saturday, September the 5th. Then they have Minnesota and Minneapolis. That's a CBS game. South Carolina next. That's September the 19th. Then they have Missouri and Starkville, Alabama and Starkville. That's a pretty good run right there. October the 3rd, Alabama. That'll bring a crowd, let me tell you. Then LSU and Baton Rouge on October the 17th. The early window, it looks like 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. range. So the Cajuns and LSU fans won't be in full force until after that game. Oklahoma in Starkville, October the 24th. Texas and Austin on October the 31st. Then you finish out with Vandy, Auburn, Tennessee Tech, and then the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss,
the big one.
November 27th. 11 a.m. football game. So that catches us up with the two SEC teams, and we'll hit Southern Miss tomorrow.
Yeah, and of course we'll be talking to Hadad next hour and get a report from the ground view in Tampa, Florida. Because, when you think college football, you think Tampa Bay.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. Once again, they failed to check with either one of us before they booked it, but they're having a good time, and that's what counts. When we come back, do you have a lot of money? Would you like a lot of money? The Mississippi Lottery can help you with that. We'll talk about that next on Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Venable.
From Duck Hill to Alligator, Mississippians start their day the right way. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, and it is time to talk money with the Mississippi Lottery. Holy cow, do we have some jackpots. Have you seen this, Lance?
I have not looked at it yet.
The jackpots are going crazy. Powerball jackpot, the Powerball's up to $600 million.
Yeah, they're big.
For Saturday's drawing, Mega Millions is up to $743 million.
Big money right there, man. Somebody's going to have to win it.
Win them both, it's $1.3 billion.
You think it'll hit before it hits $1 billion? I always like to take the chance. Once you get this high, you think it's going to keep rolling, both of them?
I think Mega Millions may have a better chance, but we could see both of them get there, I think. One thing, and I do want to point this out because I keep seeing people talking about this. I've talked about it before. Powerball. To use that as an example. Saturday is the next drawing. $600 million is the jackpot. That's if you take the annuity. The estimated cash value is $266.4 million. When it's reported and it spreads all over social media, they just won a $600 million jackpot and all they got was $200 million. This taxation's got to stop. Now, it's not taxes. If you have an annuity and that money sits there for 20 years, you'll wind up collecting $600 million at the end of the 20 years. Or you can take the cash lump sum now, which is $266.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
That 266 becomes 600 over 20 years. But that keeps getting misreported. My point is, if you get $266.4 million in your pocket and you find a reason to be upset about it, I would break off a couple of bucks for some counseling.
Go talk to somebody.
Yes, I think you may have some issues that are unresolved at that point. Mega Millions, same way, $743 million. The estimated cash value, $323.4 million. And I'm not even touching Lotto America's up to $2.1 million.
That was just boring, though. I mean, honestly, it's just boring. I have to be straight with you. I gave up on Lotto America ever doing anything. It's just moves so slow and it hits like once every 10 years.
So now, proving my point, Lance is bored with the possibility of getting $2.1 million.
Bored. Yeah, I mean, it just does nothing for me when I'm looking at $743 million. Hey, and by the way, the House passed House Resolution 7008, and that would limit stock trading. Not that it will pass in the Senate, but you may start seeing some congressmen play the lottery a little bit more regularly if they don't have the lottery of the stock market to play. So you may see these numbers grow a lot quicker.
It's entirely possible. But if you want to participate in those, and by the way, the official Lance Tolbert endorsed game, Mississippi Match 5, $215,000, but you have winners there all the time. Let's see here. Mega Millions, next drawing is tomorrow night. Powerball is Saturday night, so you've got time to get your tickets and have a shot at carving out a chunk of that for yourself.
Yeah, Reverend Cross has even been buying tickets at these, at this rate. So
there's nobody that's not buying tickets. I think at this rate,
they're like, we got to get it now. It's going to hit, and it'll be somebody from Ohio or California, maybe. But no, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Yeah.
It'll be California. It's always California.
It's a Mississippian win the big money.
It'll always
run for governor or something.
It's always somebody from California who has a bad vowel to consonant ratio in their name.
Man, I went back and looked at all the winners. It's like, we're due one down here.
Yes, we are actually. We were kind of joking around, but no, we are due a big winner. It wasn't that long ago we had a winner for a couple of million. off. I think that was Powerball. That was, but that was a few weeks back. We're due for another big winner. Don't be Lance. Don't be bored at the thought of winning $2 million.
That's just not going to get me where I need to go. It's just not going to get me where I need to go, bro.
Where are you trying to go? The moon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to participate. I'm going to participate in all this stuff. So I need money. Got to be a player.
Holy
Go
cow.
elbowing in with Elon and all them. Bring my ideas to the table.
You show up at Elon's house with $2 million. He's not even answering the door.
You can't even wash my car for that, man.
Come on. Do you have any idea how much the soap cost I use on my Cybertruck? No.
Yeah. It's like it's got silver granules or something in it,
You can't even ante into the game at the table for $2 million. But you know what? I wouldn't care. I'd forget who Elon was if I had $2 million. Mm-hmm. I would forget who he was. I would forget who you were. I would forget everybody.
You just parachute out of it all, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would vanish like a ninja on a cloudy night. There would be a puff of smoke, and I'd be gone.
He gone. The door didn't hit him in the butt on the way out either.
Where'd Dave go? And hopefully we would very quickly reach the point to where the response to that would be, Dave who? Bye. Yeah, right. Coming up, we've got Fox News. And I'm sure it'll be just nothing but good news. SuperTalk Mississippi News. And then hour number 2 of mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Trying to change nobody, he's just trying real hard to just.
Your home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Good morning, Mississippi. You're starting your day off right. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
No, don't take those.
Gotta love it.
Just take me to the river weather.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi, this hour of mornings without Richard Cross, brought to you by the folks at MWG Employer Services. Running a business, you know it's tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in for you. They can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you and your business. You can call them today at 601-206-7966 or go to mwgemployerservices.com. Over in Louisiana, we're going to get a verdict today, one way or the other, on a gentleman by the name of Quentin Tellis. Do you remember that name?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
He's the one
Bad
that was... guy. Yeah, he was linked to Jessica Chambers in Panola County being burned to death, 19-year-old, just set on fire. They've tried him twice for that, and both cases ended in a hung jury. Well, maybe going to get some justice from an unlikely direction, and this time it's not a jury. It's a judge verdict. The judge is going to decide the case. Verdict is expected today. Graduate student at the University of Louisiana at Monroe, Ming Chen Sao.
Who?
Mandy is what she went by. She was killed.
That was the second one, right?
Yes, that was the second
that's what
one.
I was like, what? I thought there was 2 or 3. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that was Jessica Chambers was killed in 2014. Mandy was killed in 2015. Could not get a verdict on the Jessica Chambers case. Tried twice, got a hung jury both times. This time there will be no hung jury. There's no jury. So we're going to get a verdict one way or the other on Quentin Tellis today, which... It's not perfect. The family, the friends, the community members in Panola County who knew Jessica Chambers, they want a verdict on that case.
That's a terrible, terrible story, too. I mean, as far as what happened to her, good Lord.
Man, it was
just
awful.
can't. I mean, I can't. I can't really wrap my arms around that one in my head. A friend of mine, Teresa Pell, she's covered that story since day one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've talked to her a couple times over the years about it, and it makes your stomach hurt. It gives you chills to think about that someone could do that to another person. And justice must be served.
Religious, not religious, I don't care. There are demons walking the face of the earth. Whoever did that, the general wisdom is that it was probably Quentin Tellis, but no verdict. So
whoever it is, it needs to pay the price for
somebody
that.
did it.
Yeah.
And they are evil personified. And yeah, I was thinking about Therese as well. She has been so good following. She's over there today awaiting the verdict on this case.
Yeah. If you ever guess Dark Horse Press, if anybody's ever, she does a wonderful job of crime reporting in the state of Mississippi, has covered that story exclusively. And is a wonderful person, too. We'll have her own Mary here and there, and just brings so much wealth of information, some of those layers of working with police and the intricacies of those types of investigations. Just learn a lot from it. It's hard to believe that this gentleman, if he is indeed the one who did it, has been able to escape justice for as long as he has.
Yeah, and it's... Do I even want to go here?
I'm not sure.
We have obvious flaws in our justice system still. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I am saying it's not perfect. And I'm in this particular case with the family of Jessica Chambers, it should be. Mm-hmm. We should be able to arrive at a verdict one way or the other.
Yeah, get to the verdict. I mean, he may well have been, in jail or put aside, but I mean, let's guess what 2015, 26. It's 2026 now.
Yeah, that was 2014 when that happened. 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And still no resolution in that. So maybe a little bit of a resolution today, depending on the judge's ruling. We'll see. Over in Louisiana, it's happening in Monroe. And we'll have details on that later once that verdict is issued. I don't think it's been issued yet, but when it is, we will let you know at some point today. Cindy Hyde-Smith was appointed to the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee in the Senate.
That's big time.
Yeah. Well, she's from right down here in Southwest Mississippi, so that officially makes her the best person in Washington.
That getting the committee assignments is it's like a horse race,
Yeah.
And getting on the right ones, it definitely gives you power and much more input. And you're talking about defense spending, that's a big one. That's a big portion of our budget.
Yes, that's a huge portion of our budget.
And you got ships being built down there. And
Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, now one of the ones that's going to determine how those appropriations are appropriated, which is a big position.
Yeah, I read an article the other day that was just kind of going into how we build ships and how China builds, and just the demand for welders and the need to continue pouring resources into the shipbuilding side, because, the world's, 70% water? And we get hung up on the land stuff, but almost every great country, every strong economy is built around shipping. You don't ship big stuff on airplanes generally. You ship the big stuff on boats, and so having a Navy that is able to guard the money train and curtail any of the mess. Well, we still have pirates. Think about that. You have pirates.
Yes.
In 2026, there are pirates still. Yeah, that have boats. It blows my mind.
Hat tip to everyone listening in Somalia this morning.
Jeez, you go, what in the world? We're in 2026 and we still have pirates that can pull up to a tanker, pull up to a container ship, and rob them with a little boat. It just blows my mind. With all the military tech, all the stuff we have these days, that's the one thing that you go, man, that seems odd. There's still pirates, but yet there are. And they disrupt a lot, and then you got wars too, right?
Yeah. Now, two things. Number one, I want to address something you said, that the earth is 70% covered in water, and we tend to focus on land. I can't speak for anybody else. I focus on land because that's where I live.
Oh yeah, you're not a
If I was in
merman.
Atlantis with an aqua lung, yeah, I might focus on it a bit more, but it doesn't impact me.
The mermans and the mermaids. Huh?
Yes. The other thing, you talking about building ships leads right into something. CBS News did a report on this new projection that they have made about the labor market. Mm-hmm. And it tracks the net entries into the labor force by decade. And what we mean by that is you take the ones that enter the workforce for the first time and subtract the number that leave the workforce from it. That's your net entries into the workforce. The two biggest decades were the 70s and 80s. People going into the workforce for the first time, workers coming out. For next decade, the 2030s, they are projecting it's the first time since the 1870s that they are projecting we're going to have a net negative 2+ million people entering the workforce. Mm-hmm. And you may have seen the report that came out this week that we have 105 million people in the United States who are not in the workforce right now.
How many was that?
105 million.
So, a little less than a third?
Yes. Yes.
Right out a fourth of the country is not participating in the workforce.
That is, there are multiple reasons for that
definitely.
We can get into another time. But what's driving this is very, very simple. This projection that next decade we're going to have more people leave the workforce than enter the workforce.
Better get busy making some babies then,
Yeah, it was too late now.
Yeah, they'll be 10 years old. Yeah, we don't think we've got child labor laws now.
They won't let you do that. As the mines have to take care of themselves until you hit 18. But the kids still yearn for the mines.
They yearn for the mines.
They yearn for the mines. The thing is, you had the boomers were the biggest generation ever, famously. They're aging out. They're going home. There hasn't been a generation born with as many children in it as the boomers. This was a foregone conclusion. This was going to happen. It was just a matter of time and catabolism at this point. And as you said, we're not having enough babies. What I'm saying is two things. You think it's hard to find good welders and people to build boats now? Give it 10 years. And also, you think the line at the drive-thru is long now?
Oh.
We're not thinking about or planning for 10 years from now. And that's going to bite us. When we come back, the one, the only, Brian Hadad, who was hanging on every single word at the Ole Miss presentation yesterday. He's going to talk to us from Tampa. I just can't help myself from thinking about Ole Miss with him.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Want to know what's being said in the halls of the Capitol? You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross continues on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Dave Hughes here, and joining us now live from the happening metropolis of Tampa, Florida, we have from Sports Talk and the host of Thunder and Lightning, the one and only Brian Hadad is going to join us now. How you doing this morning, sir?
I mean, you're going to give me Enter Sandman at, it's what time is it here? I don't even know. It's 8:21 in the morning Eastern. That's early for that kind of jolt of adrenaline. I appreciate it, though.
Yeah, you got to get pumped up, man.
Man, I'm ready.
You got to get ready for the day.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this weird question to start, and then we'll get into the specifics.
Let's do it.
This is not your first SEC Media Days. How would you compare this one to previous years?
Okay, so this is a two-sided answer here. First off, from a production standpoint, huge credit to our friend Houston McDavid, who is got to be the first guy to answer the email. Our spot, we are right. Like when you walk into Radio Row, boom, SuperTalk Mississippi. So we've gotten a lot of great interviews just because people have been here coming by us all week. I think the setup is really good. That being said, Dave, Eastern time is of the devil. I want to make that clear. This hotel is a Pepsi-only hotel. I've had to walk to Publix twice just to get a Coke Zero. All right? I don't like that one bit. So on a personal level, I have not enjoyed being here in Tampa as much. But from a professional standpoint, it's been fantastic.
Well, you can't have everything. Where would you put it?
You really can't. So
Yeah,
I told Greg Sankey, I was like, look, I only got one thing. This next time, don't book a Pepsi hotel. All right, I got to be able to go down to the gift shop in the morning. I don't drink coffee. This is my caffeine. I need it. And he was not very receptive. I was disappointed.
Yeah, which is a nice way of saying Greg Sankey didn't care.
That's exactly what it is. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
I thought. Of course, yesterday was a big day, not necessarily your area of preferred expertise, but we had the Ole Miss presentation yesterday. How do you think that went?
I think it went about as well as it could. I think Pete Golding did a great job there at the podium. Him going first helped this Ole Miss LSU powder keg we're all sitting on, right? I think if Kiffin had gone first and had gotten the first word, he would have said quite a bit, and then Golding would have been left to kind of clean up after him. By going first, by saying, look, me and Lane are good, and so on and so forth, I think that helped a lot. Trinidad, sitting down with us, what a mature young man. I felt like I was talking to somebody that's closer to our age, Dave, than talking to a college student. I thought Will Eccles and Kewan Lacey were outstanding as well. So if you're an Ole Miss fan, you didn't come away from yesterday being anything but excited about the upcoming season.
Well, and I think you had a very good point there. If Kiffin had gone first, there would have been dancing girls. There would have been the entire circus would have come in there with him.
Something like that.
We all know that. That's who Kiffin is, just as a person and a coach.
Yeah, and it just would have. He would have taken his shots. And I think by Pete going first and not taking any shots, then it comes off. It'll come off as petty if Kiffin does something when he's here today.
That's a very good point. Now let's swap over to your favorite preferred topic, and that's the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
No,
Let's
I thought it was
talk
going to
about
be barbecue. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it could also possibly be Coke Zero at this point. We're building a list on you. We're building a profile.
I got them back there. They're behind the banner.
Oh, perfect. That's a good place to store the drinks when you're on a live location. Mississippi State, what are your feelings this week right now?
So coming into today, I knew that Kamario Taylor was going to be a hot topic of conversation. Everybody's interested in him, but he has gotten a lot more buzz than even I would have expected. Everybody we've talked to has been like, this guy, if it all clicks for him, they're sitting on top of a superstar here in Starkville, and I agree with that. You also bring in Kelly Jones in, who is a superstar, and he is a guy who will be a high draft pick. We've got a great interview coming later tonight on Thunder and Lightning Live, which I want to remind your listeners, if you're a normal Thunder and Lightning listener, that is tonight instead of our normal Wednesday spot. I had some people asking, like, you sound a lot like Lars Larson. Why am I what is happening there? Like, I don't have any thoughts on tariffs, guys. I don't know. But I spent with a former Florida State All-American defensive back, Bryant McFadden, played a long time in the NFL, and he was just passionate about Kelly Jones and how good he can be and what he can do at the next level. So that's a really interesting conversation. I hope you guys will check it out later tonight on Thunder and Lightning Live. And then Anthony Evans is a guy who really flies under the radar. He is the leading returning receiver in the SEC in terms of catches. He had 67 catches last year. And in the Jeff Lebby offense, that's probably going to translate to closer to 80 this season. And I'm really excited to talk to him. He's not a guy who does a ton of media. So excited to talk to him. And then, of course, Lebby himself, who will be here on Sports Talk Mississippi later this afternoon. The head coach of Mississippi State will be in this chair. And looking forward to talking to him because, with LSU here and Texas is here as well today, Mississippi State's very much going to fly under the radar. And there's not a lot of people who are super interested in Mississippi State. I know our listeners are. And so I'm interested to talk to him and just get his thoughts, not only on his team, but his program. Where is his program in year 3? Does he feel like it's building to the point that he wants it and that this can be a program that gets back into the conversation for top 25 rankings, for college football playoff berths and things like that?
And let me ask you this, because you were talking about Camario and really getting a lot of buzz. With the rest of the program, as you have said several times, kind of flying under the radar in a lot of ways this year, would it be better for State if Camario had kind of flown under the radar a little bit more as well?
I see where you're coming from, but I would say no. State needs superstars. Superstars are what win football games. Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey are superstars. They don't fly under the radar at all, and that's why people believe in Ole Miss. When you have a superstar quarterback, it's almost impossible in this league to be bad. I go back a few years, longer than a few years now, but Dak Prescott's senior year, I argued with a lot of people that picked State last in the West, and I was like, they have the first team all-SEC quarterback. That in and of itself guarantees you a winning record, and it's just how much better are you going to be from there. You want a superstar. You want people talking about Mississippi State. Nobody talks about Mississippi State outside of the state of Mississippi hardly. There's so much focus on Ole Miss. Rightly so. They've won a ton of games the last 5 years. So if I'm Jeff Lebby, I want people talking about Camario Taylor, and I want people saying that kid is the future in the SEC. He's going to be a superstar.
Well, and that's a very good point, and that's why I asked the question, because my first thought was sometimes it's better to sneak up on them than it is to come storming the gates.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and Mississippi State fans a lot of times like to think that way. They want to be the team that plays with the chip on their shoulder, and I get that. But when you win a lot, the chip goes away, because at that point, people just expect you to win. Ole Miss is at that point right now. People expect Ole Miss to win. Ole Miss can't play the nobody believes in us. They can't play we have a chip on our shoulder. Nobody's going to buy that from them. They'll buy it from Mississippi State, but you'd like to be in a position where people just look at the preseason and they go, oh, Mississippi State, well, they're going to win 9 or 10 games this year. That's what they do all the time. State had kind of gotten to that point under Mullen right before he left, and they've been trying to get back ever since.
And I think they're taking some steps in that direction, it seems like. This week, and I know big day today, so the answer to this question may be coming today at some point. Has anything just really kind of grabbed you that has happened this week and you said, oh, okay, that's interesting?
I think my favorite moment of the week has been, we're right here next to the guys from Houston, Texas, and they had Coach Will Stein on from Kentucky. And this is if you're listening here, you're a high school student, a college student, this is a lesson. It never hurts to ask is the lesson here. Coach Will Stein, head coach of the University of Kentucky, has no connection to us. I've never met him, don't know him at all. But I asked their SID. I was like, hey, is he booked up? Could he slide over here? And they said, yeah, he can sit down with you guys. And we got him. And he gave us a great interview. He gave us a clip that, if you've checked our Instagram and TikTok, has gone completely viral, talking about a high school football game that he played in. And I thought he was fantastic. So that's been my favorite moment of the week thus far. That and the little skit I did yesterday with Trinidad and Will Eccles, where I kind of between two fernsdom a little bit there. So it's been a fun week. We've done a lot of great work, gotten some great coverage, and there's going to be a lot more of it today on Sports Talk Mississippi, with Mississippi State coming in just a few hours.
That's why everybody needs to listen to Sports Talk today, because, like you just described, usually the best stuff is the stuff that wasn't planned, that no one was expecting. That's what
flies under the radar.
Yeah. That's where the gems come from.
Absolutely.
Sometimes. So Sports Talk this afternoon, 3 o'clock, live from Tampa. Brian Hadad on his way to go back behind the banner back there.
Yeah, you're right.
Get some refreshment.
I just want to say, I snapped my streak. I was on with Richard on this show on Tuesday. So my streak. So we're starting a new streak today of me being on mornings with Richard Cross without Richard Cross. We'll start to see how far we can take it. But I was sad to see the streak go, but it is what it is.
Gonna have to get one of those signs.
It's
been this many days since I've been on mornings with Richard Cross, and then we can just change the number every morning. I think it'd be perfect. Brian, hey, Dad, enjoy you, man. Keep up the fantastic work.
Thanks, Dave.
We will continue on mornings here on a beautiful Thursday right after this. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.com, side track on Mississippi politics. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Dave Hughes in this morning. Richard had business in Florida, apparently, so I can't imagine what it could be. The SEC Media Days broadcast they're doing, including this afternoon, live from Tampa, brought to you in part by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau, and Trustmark Bank. We thank all of them for helping to make it possible for Brian Hadad to desperately search for Coke Zero.
Well, I will say that those guys have a blast, but it sounds to me like what a team effort. I know Houston's great at everything he does for us, and mostly behind the scenes. But getting that jockey spot where you're kind of in the pole position, and everybody's got to pass you to come to you. You can you get a lot of great interviews and conversations started that way by. People. I remember going to conferences and things where you had to set up a booth, and you were always wanting to be close to like a bathroom, because everybody had to come that way, and so that's cool. I'm glad they're having a blast, and what a great group of guys. I mean, as far as Borky and Hadad, and then you got my boy Cisse, Caleb Sailor's down there in the crew, so they're doing a wonderful job. I'm hopefully having a blast. It sounds like it. Outside of the Coke Zero.
Yeah, well, that's Hadad's problem. We're not going to worry about that. But I will say this, and longtime listeners know, I have done my share of on-location broadcasts here on the SuperTalk network. I have been out there. I have been out there with Houston many, many times. You would not want anyone else there.
No.
When you're setting it up. That man is an absolute wizard. Forget dotting the I's and crossing the T's. He puts it in a prettier font. I mean, it's just incredible, the attention to detail that he does.
He's great at calligraphy.
Yes, you cannot brag about Houston McDavid enough and the job that he does for us here at SuperTalk. So I have to second from experience what Brian was talking about in the last segment.
How cool, too, getting some stories and getting to hang out with like somebody you didn't expect. As you said, sometimes that's the best, is when it's the unexpected little gem that falls in your lap, like Coach Stein. Building relationships, getting to meet new people. I mean, that's what it's all about. Those guys get to hang out with all the other folks in the SEC doing the same thing they are. But I doubt very seriously that anyone has a sports talk program like we do here at SuperTalk Mississippi. And
they don't.
Those guys, they're kicking 80-yard field goals with that thing constantly. Did you see that they're potentially going, looking at a rule, I think it was in the NFL, that any field goal over 50 would give you 4 points.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, listen, I read that a couple of days ago. I'm like, is that real? But apparently they do that in one of these, gladiator leagues, and it's been fairly popular.
That will be an uncontroversial decision.
No, nobody will throw a fit about that.
No one will care until the first time a Super Bowl is decided by who has the best kicker.
Yeah. They'll Ole Miss, our kicker was pretty good last year. I'm hoping that he'll be as money this year as he was. State looks to. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the field with that beast of a quarterback they have, and he got a lot of playing time last year to kind of get him ready to go. So I think State's going to be an interesting story. And, when you're in the SEC, man, who knows? You got to go play one of the best teams each week.
Yes.
Every week, week after week. So, as you say, you got to play them, right? Who knows?
All right. Last hour, I mentioned something called the uni-context. The unicontext.
It's not a unibrow. But
No, that's I shaved mine. Thank you.
I pluck mine.
I have like 5 hairs right between that tend to grow in. And I misattributed something. I said that the philosopher that came up with it was Canadian. She may be from Canada, but she's a professor at the University of Chicago. Agnes Callard. She says her theory that she's come up with is that the world has changed and led to an explosion of nonstop negative news and opinions. We hear that complaint all the time, that everything's negative. All we talk about is the negative. We hear that all the time. She's got a theory for that. Back at the start of our lifetime, not that long ago, your context for things was local. Mostly your hometown. To a certain extent, your state you lived in, and that was about it. You didn't know what was going on in California. You didn't care. It had no impact on your daily life. As a result, you shared the good and the bad, because Everybody knew what you were talking about when you talked about the good. But now the context has expanded to where everybody is sharing the context. Every place on the planet is part of your local community now because of the reach of media and the internet and social media and everything else. That leads to this problem. Human beings like to feel accepted. They like to have a sense of belonging. Somebody in California is not going to get excited about hunting season coming up in Mississippi. They're not going to get thrilled about the catfish industry in Mississippi. As a result, well, if you want to reach the biggest number of people and get the biggest number of people agreeing with you and making you feel wanted and like you belong, you share negative stuff, because it doesn't matter where on the planet you are. If somebody kills somebody else, you understand it immediately, that it's a bad thing. Good is relative. Bad is not. So as a result, we talk mostly about bad stuff to get as many people as possible to understand where we're coming from, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, we eat bags of lettuce all the time, and nobody really reports on that until somebody explodes from it. So,
yes.
I mean, that's just the way it works, isn't it?
That's been my favorite part of this entire story with the cyclosporiasis. Cyclosporiasis is a completely different disorder. Is that for some reason it has been headline news for 2 weeks that eating at Taco Bell might give you diarrhea. I thought that was accepted.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like you go to, because you need that. You go to Taco Bell because you need a nice little cleaning.
But I thought that was a great perspective that she put on this, that we talk about all the time with, everything's negative, nonstop. Well, there's a reason for that, because people will understand what you're talking about if you're talking about negativity.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, if you're talking about positive, well, some people will be on board. Some people won't. Mm-hmm. But everybody gravitates to, the negative. And I think that has now fed back. I agree with this theory, but I think it has fed back. And now even in your local community, because this is the way everybody treats everything else. So even in your local community, we don't share the good stuff anymore. It's all bad all the time from all directions.
Yeah, it's hard to distinguish between that, right? I mean, you have national issues, global issues, and then you have local and state issues. And we have quite a few Democrats that come on and say, hey, this is not this isn't our platform here in the state of Mississippi. We as Democrats, those are not some of the national bullet points. Those things we don't believe in. But when you ask, hey, how are you going to offset that with the National Democrat Party versus being a Democrat in the state, you kind of get mixed into that Borg of everything, right? I mean, you
Yes.
are what the party says. And I guess guilty by correlation, guilty by friendships and so on. But, emotion is real easy to stoke, isn't it, Dave?
Yes.
It's as light as a feather to pick up. The truth is heavy, though, at times.
The truth is always heavy, either to the good or to the bad. The truth is always weighty. It has mass. Whereas there's an old expression that explains a lot of what's going on, especially with social media now, especially right now in the state of Mississippi. A lie can go around the world before the truth can get its boots on.
Yeah.
It spreads like wildfire because we're looking for sensationalism, and we want to belong, and we want to be part of the group and seen as one of the smart ones, and so on and so forth. And as a result, all we do is promote negativity. And I'm not talking about the mostly good-natured rivalry between State and Ole Miss, for example. We just had Hadad in here, and I joke with him about Ole Miss all the time. That's more good nature. That comes from a different place. It's not really attacking. Come on. It's, fandom. That's the way that works. Those same rules shouldn't apply to everything on planet Earth, but we're forcing them to. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's productive.
Well, we're monetizing it as well. And I think that in a world of higher cost, inflation, so much more consumerism, globalism, and all that, we've found, as you just said, a way to package it up. All the problems of the world now right in your back pocket. It's called a phone. And if you click on that, then somebody's getting paid.
Yeah.
Somebody's making money off of it.
Fun fact, by the way, it's not you.
Yeah, I'm not getting a check for clicking.
That's part of the problem here. Will that change? Maybe. But for now, as I love saying, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Final segment of this hour of mornings on the way next on Super Talk Mississippi.
The Venable Glass Traffic.
Keeping Mississippi in the know, one morning at a time. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings presented by Community Bank. When it comes to money, trust is not automatic. It's earned, and that's why Community Bank does things the old-fashioned way. When you go to them, they take the time to listen to you and talk about any questions you have, whether you're saving, spending, or planning ahead. You'll find bankers who know the community because they're part of it. Community Bank, banking designed with you in mind. You can visit them in person or online at communitybank.net. Great Instagram you sent me during the break. Boom.
I mean, isn't that relevant, though, to the conversation we were just having, really? Is that
yes.
It's things such as two women doing their own hair in a crumble in, South Carolina or wherever it was. The video goes viral. And,
yes.
And that's a local issue, but yet, you need the CEO of Crumble and everybody going out and, we're sorry for this, that, and other, and that's unacceptable, when really that's a one issue, right? I mean, that's there in that building, but now it's a global issue.
Yes.
Where everyone piles on it and has an opinion, and the whole point of it is to try to go viral, so somebody's getting clicks and getting paid for it. It doesn't really seem to me that that's healthy, but, I'm happy that we have a platform that allows us to get information out and people like it and click it. But at the end of the day, does it really matter what's going on in some little town in South Carolina to the benefit of your day in any way?
No. That is the rule that I keep saying over and over and over. Every piece of information you get, every piece of news, every piece of punditry, opinion, whatever, it needs to be, by you, passed through the filter of, how does this affect my life personally?
Right.
Not in general, not general outrage because this should never happen. No, you. When you wake up in the morning, what difference will that have made, positive or negative, in your actual life? And if the answer is none, there is zero reason to get worked up over it.
My grandfather used to say, and, my mom would always have to remind me of it because, I was too young to really ever get too worked up about stuff before he had passed. But he would always say, worry about the things you can change and to heck with the things you can't. And he lived a wonderful life. I mean, it was different,
yes.
And a man that spent a lot of his time playing golf and, going into the woods and fishing and worked when he was supposed to, made good money, made good investments. But the world was different then. It wasn't about stocks and bonds and, all the different global investments. Everything was a little more local. And it seemed to me, again, this is just an observation, that happiness starts local.
Yes.
If you try to find your way in a world of 8+ billion people, there are problems everywhere, and you can surely get mixed up in it and enmeshed in that and never come out the other side. And I was reading something the other day about how many people have got anxiety and depression and all these mental issues over Instagram and X and all that. But you're welcoming that into your life, and it's self-inflicted.
I have heard the expression, and I'm sure you have too, that True happiness begins in the home.
Yeah, I mean, it's local, right?
That doesn't go far enough. True happiness begins in your skull, between your ears, in you. That's where true happiness starts. And a lot of the way that you become happier with your life is ignoring and discarding the negative things that don't affect you.
And in that tandem, you have Thomas that mentioned, well, it's been 38 days since we've seen Mitch McConnell alive. Think of it this way, too, on the other side. What if we didn't have social media? Would you even know that Mitch McConnell hadn't been voting or doing much or been in the hospital in a coma or whatever? Had it not been for those, I mean, we may not have heard anything. And that is relevant, right? I mean, so how do you choose these things, Dave?
Between social media and the 24/7 news cycle. That's why we know that. Because desperately looking for something to talk about all the time.
Well, and ESPN has axed, 10 or 11 employees, eight whites, 2 blacks over whittling down the wokeness and the first take mindsets that, everyone has now, right? I mean, what made ESPN extremely popular now, you get that stuff all over YouTube, Instagram, X. It's just right there for you for free, basically. ESPN makes you pay for getting that content, and some people have kind of been backing out.
Yeah.
So you're seeing where, the revenue's dropping because this isn't as popular now on mainstream TV as it once was, because everybody's doing the same thing now outside of mainstream TV.
You can go to the river, get a bucket, boil it, and drink that water all day. People are still going to the store buying bottles.
There you go.
So there's always a market for something that people want, no matter what. I would like to address what Thomas just said. Saw something on X that explained it perfectly. Mitch McConnell is on paid eternity leave.
Paid eternity leave.
Yes.
That's a good one.
If you call into work dead, do you have to give them a note from your coroner? I mean, how does that work? It's very good point there. We have a whole other hour to go, and boy, we have got a beaut coming up. Philip Mantle joins us. We're talking UFOs when we return after Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Know where the news is going next. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings with Dave Hughes on this Thursday morning, last hour of mornings, brought to you by MWG Employer Services. You can call them today at 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. I am pleased to welcome back to the Super Talk Network author Philip Mantle, who has written a new book about the Pascagoula UFO abduction incident back in the 70s. Philip, great to have you here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. Nice to speak to you again.
Now, let's very quickly, and we'll get back more into it later. Let's talk about this new book, because you wouldn't think something that happened in 1973 would have new information coming out about it. It's well-trodden territory, but you've got some new things in this book that really haven't been brought to light before, don't you?
No, that's correct. One of the things that surprised all of us when we started looking into this incident was the amount of new information that continued to surface. And just to this very day, Dave, I mean, in the last few weeks, we have taken information from a couple of people who were witness to these events in the area at that time. So more information continues to arise. Also in the new book, I'd become very friendly with Calvin Parker, one of the people involved in this incident. And Calvin wrote his final words, and he wouldn't allow me to publish it until after he died. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago. So we have Calvin's final words. It's his take on what happened to him all those years back. And we clarify a couple of things as well. One of the big arguments back in 1973 was the polygraph that Charles Hickson took. People saying it wasn't done correctly, etc., etc. So I looked into that. And in fact, he didn't have one polygraph, he had three, because he kept passing them. They were hoping that he'd fail. And the polygraph examiner was a chap called Scott Glasgow. And the skeptics at the time said he wasn't qualified and he wasn't from the local area, he came from New Orleans. Well, I found out all the reasons for that, and he was qualified. He was just waiting for his certificate. And the reason that the local polygraph examiners weren't used, there was two at the time. One said we only do a polygraph if someone's been charged with an offence, and Charlie and Calvin hadn't. And the other one said, there's no way am I getting involved with this UFO stuff, So a friend of a friend knew a company in New Orleans that did polygraphs, and Scott Glasgow came over, conducted it. And as strange as it may seem, just before the COVID lockdown, I contacted that company. They were still working in New Orleans, and they said yes, everything was all above board. So we clarified a couple of things. And another interesting thing that bothered Calvin until the day he died, and I didn't have the answer then, was how did this story back in 1973 actually leak out? The only people they told is Sheriff Fred Diamond and his deputies at the Sheriff's Department that night, where they were interviewed and secretly recorded. And Calvin, for a long time, blamed Charlie Hickson. Charlie said, I never released it. It must have been the sheriff. The sheriff said it wasn't me. So we came across a gentleman who contacted us, and he was at the time a journalist. And it was a contact, in inverted commas, within the sheriff's office that phoned him and told him about what had happened. So there was a leak in the sheriff's department's office. This gentleman went straight to the sheriff's department. Charlie and Calvin had gone home. He went back the next morning. They'd gone to the Singing River Hospital. He went there. They'd gone. And they went to Keesler Air Force Base, where they were checked for radiation and found to be negative, and then interviewed. So this photojournalist literally waited outside of Keesler Air Force Base for them to come out, and he got them to go on camera. And it's the first interview with Charlie and Calvin on camera. They have their backs to the camera, so you can't see their faces. And not only that, he supplied us with a complete copy of this interview. And so that's how the story got out. So we were able to clarify a couple of things as well.
Well, and you're speaking to something that I think may be hard for folks in 2026 to understand. In 1973, this kind of story spreading all over the country and all over the world was an unusual event. Everyone is used to finding out what happened in Poughkeepsie last night by early this morning. That wasn't the case in 1973. So when this story spread like it did, and it did spread, that in and of itself was a big deal, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, when the day after this incident, Calvin and Charlie worked in the shipyard, and they went into work, and they hadn't been there that long, and the boss summoned them and said, "What have you been doing? The phone won't stop ringing. There's journalists outside. We can't get any work done." So they told their boss what had happened. And he said, take a couple of weeks off because, and another thing we found out is on that second day, they were sent to Singing River Hospital to be checked out. And the journalists were even following them into the emergency department as they went in. And they wouldn't speak to them, of course. And the reason we found that out is because we found a film from a guy who was actually working in the X-ray department, which was right next to your ER. and he saw what was happening, and he managed to go and speak to Calvin because he looked like, there was something wrong. So but the main thing out of all the new information that's come to light, Dave, is a lady by the name of Mrs. Maria Blair. Mrs. Blair and her husband, Jerry, now deceased, but Mrs. Blair said that she and Jerry were on the opposite side of the river that night, and they saw what happened. They saw the blue lights coming down the river, hovering over the opposite side of the river, which is where Charlie and Calvin were. And not only that, they claimed they had their own experience as well. Now, they told their two daughters some of this, but not the whole story. And how we found Mrs. Blair, she didn't step forward, nor Jerry, there was an interview with Calvin Parker on YouTube. And then there's the comments underneath. And one of the comments said, my mum and dad were on the opposite side of the river that night, and they too saw the UFO. So I contacted this person, turned out to be a young lady. It was Mr. and Mrs. Blair's daughter. And I said, would your mum and dad speak to us? And they said, yes. And they told us the whole story. Mr. Blair has since passed away, but Mrs. Blair is still alive. And it's a fascinating account of what happened to them. And what we did find, Dave, and we are still finding, is that there were a lot of people saw things in and around the area that night. Some quite close to where Charlie and Calvin were, some further afield, and in neighbouring states as well. So it's no longer a story about Charlie and Calvin. It's got a lot bigger, although they are still the main characters.
Well, and we're coming up on a break. If you can stick around through the break, I want to get into one of the major differences between then and now, because you had Miss Blair and her husband, Jerry, who kept stone quiet about this. They saw this happen. They saw the press coverage of it when it happened, and they kept their mouth shut. Nobody wanted to get into any sort of relationship with this story back in the 70s because, well, you would immediately be labeled a kook. That's just the way things were at that point. But that has changed quite a bit, and it continues to change quite a bit. Even this week, we've had new developments in terms of people being able to come forward and talk about what they know. And I want to get into that with you, if you don't mind, when we come back. We're talking with Philip Mantle, the author of Pascagoula Uncovered: Witnesses, Files, and Audiotapes. Got all three of them in there. And it's a whole new take and an expansion on a story that we all know from here in Mississippi, with a lot of things you will learn for the first time when you read that book. We'll continue with Philip right after this here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
This couple, they got married, so where they did agree. This couple, they got married, so why not you and me? Oh, why not you and me? Oh, why not you and me?
That's getting there, that's getting there, that's getting worried.
From the Venable Glass Traffic
Filibuster. Just everything you need to know to start your day smarter. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
How does your light shine in the halls of Shambhala? Tell me, how does your light shine in the halls of Shambhala? Tell me.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, talking with Philip Mantle. Has a new book out and is well known and respected in the UFO community. I understand you're over in the UK, a big part of the MUFON network over there.
Yeah, I used to be the MUFON representative for England some years ago. And for those that don't know, it's the Mutual UFO Network, has its HQ in the US, but it's literally an international organization, has members and representatives in many different parts of the world. And it's a civilian place where people can report their sightings. And you can do that online and in various other ways as well.
And it's a valuable organization, especially for the past 40 years, 50 years, because what we're talking about here in 1973, when the Pascagoula abduction happened, nobody wanted to go on the record and talk about it, like Miss Blair and her husband, because that would basically have a huge negative impact on your personal life. But now we fast forward to 2026, and the President of the United States has ordered the release of various UFO files. He has now ordered that people who are in the know in various organizations that have signed NDAs about the things they've learned will not be held to those NDAs, so they can start sharing some of the things that they say they know. What do you think the changes are over with the openness of discussing this, or are we just getting started?
I think there's still a long way to go. We have to remember these are non-disclosure agreements, but you or I still cannot talk about anything that is classified. That, is not covered in your standard NDA. So classified material on any subject, Dave, it's still classified and remains so. But it's a good start. Let's put it that way. There's been hearings in the Senate where military pilots have gone on the record, out in the open, in the public. Well, what this has done, it's given this change of attitude. Like you said, back in 1973 is one of the reasons why Charlie and Calvin didn't want to go public, because people would think they were nuts. Yeah, but now that stigma has been removed somewhat, not totally. There will still people that will laugh at you and call you crazy if you report this kind of thing. However, when you see a US Navy pilot who has more to lose than gain by going on the record while flying, a Top Gun military jet, said, I saw this thing and I had no idea what it was, and I reported it officially as well. That's different. That's very different. You're not going to call these people nuts or crazy. They're on the front line of the US defense. The jets that they fly are $100 million plus.
Yeah, and they don't let just, every crackpot that comes along get in the cockpit of one of those and take off. You've got a great point there. But that whole attitude of, if you report a UFO, if you say something odd happened to you, you're crazy. That entire thing was kind of by design, because 1973 was not quite 30 years after Roswell, when the U.S. government's opinion on UFOs really shifted into high gear, calling it crackpot theories. We've heard swamp gas, we've heard streetlights, we've heard everything else over the years. And that kind of embedded it in the American psyche that if you talk about this, well, you're just at best stupid. At worst, you probably need to get some professional help. That was kind of an institutionalized attitude, wasn't it?
It was indeed. I mean, we spoke to one gentleman maybe a year or so ago, and he witnessed something at this time. And he said, I saw two different TV stations, and one was taking Charlie and Calvin's sighting and encounter fairly seriously. He says, but the other one just made complete fun of them. And he said, so there was no way I was going to risk going on the record in case I ended up with one of those that was going to make fun of me. But times have changed, as you've said. When Calvin finally told his story in full for the first time in 2018, the media had changed and they treated him with respect, and many others as well. And he was satisfied with that. He thought that was fantastic. So it showed you a big difference, because he was there in 1973. He remembers the way the media treated them. And then in 2018, things were entirely different, and happily so.
Well, exactly. And the problem that I see here is kind of refers back to what you said a second ago about there's still a long way to go. We've made progress, but there's still a long way to go. I really have a worry. I'm a huge student of UFO topics, have been my entire life. I really worry that this is going to kind of give a false positive result publicly and lead people to believe, well, now we know everything, whether that's by design or not. And I think you're exactly right. There's still a lot more to know, but if we go, oh, well, things are going great now, this is fantastic, good, we finally know, that's the wrong response to all of this, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, like we said, it's a good start, and we must welcome the release of any information, no matter how large or small, Dave. You know, it doesn't deserve to be lying in some dusty cupboard somewhere, it needs to be out in the open. But you need to go about it the right way. We have to remember, it is the nature of governments, certainly yours and mine, to keep secrets on a whole range of things. Sometimes it's not the subject matter that is the secret, but it's how our intelligence services have gathered that information. You know, the information could go completely boring and useless, but you don't want to release how you've gathered that information to your potential enemies. So some things will always be kept secret, but it doesn't mean there's an official cover-up or things like that. So we must applaud these releases and the Senate hearings, but keep our feet on the ground and you know, keep the pressure on those that are in power. They will change in a few years in the US, as they've just changed here in the UK. So, you know, just keep going, basically.
Now, let me ask you one question on a slightly more personal note. Have you yourself ever seen an unidentified flying object? I refuse to call them UAPs, by the way. We've been using UFO for decades. It's a UFO. Have you yourself ever seen one?
Yeah, absolutely. There was an area, I live in what's called West Yorkshire County, and next to us is North Yorkshire. And in there is the Yorkshire Dales National Park, a beautiful part of the world. Now, for some reason, in the early 1980s, we got a lot of sightings from these areas. Some of it's kind of semi-rural, and one particular place a little village called Carlton. And Carlton is a nothing. You'll drive straight past it, but it has a moorland, you know, nice heather. And from Carlton Moor, we got these sightings reported. There are no dwellings on this moor. It's used for grouse and pheasant shooting. So there's no animals, there's no livestock. I was there with a friend one night, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when this light in the distance appeared. Now, we know there's no dwellings there. There's nothing that could create this light. So we took off, and all the fields in these areas are separated with what we call dry stone walls. And I'm looking out the passenger side. My friend's driving like a maniac, pitch dark. There are no lights. And I don't know if it was a gate, Dave, or whether the wall had crumbled, but I could see right down this little valley. And there was this huge, round object is all I can say. A bit like a Catherine wheel. You know, all the big cities now have the London Eye and all this kind of thing. Well, it was like that, but hanging in the air, multicolored. And it wasn't a little thing in the distance. It was right up and personal. I screamed at my friend to stop, and he did. And we clambered over the wall, and then it was gone. I won't repeat what he said, but let's just say he was as mad as anything, because he was trying to keep the car on the road. And we got back in the car, and we circumnavigated the moor that night. There was a road we could drive all the way around it. We didn't see anything else. And I have no idea what it was or wasn't, Dave. You know, I know there's nothing there There's no dwelling, there's no power lines, there's no nothing like that in that area. So there you go.
Philip Mantle, where can they get a hold of the book, Philip?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Simple as that. It's on a paperback, hardback, Kindle, and audiobook. So there's something there for everyone.
Pascagoula Uncovered, Witnesses, Files, and Audio Tapes. Philip, I've enjoyed it. Come back very soon, okay?
Thank you very much, Dave. My pleasure.
From the Seabrook. A cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
That is a sweet bumper music. Welcome back. Thank you. I'll be here for another half hour.
You're a smart man, Dave.
Welcome back to Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. I am very depressed at how few people probably caught that joke.
Oh, man, it would hurt my feelings, too, because sweet. Oh, goodness, they're sweet.
They were
great hairdos, man. I love those hair. That bangs and long hair in the back, that's the English look.
You mentioned earlier this morning about the bill that was passed with the stock trading ban.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing, I think. However, they have done a full court press in the House. Everything that they passed basically had portions, and in some cases, large portions of the Save America Act attached to them. Yeah. The stock trading one had attached to it voter ID. Got to show your ID to vote.
Yeah, 13 Democrats voted for and the rest?
198 said it's going to make it harder for Americans to vote. Democrats still think that the people they're talking to and supposedly speaking on behalf of are so stupid they can't figure out how to get an ID.
Yeah. It's been an age-old debate, right? I mean, this is not something that will ever go away. I don't understand why. I mean, you need an ID to open a bank account, to drive a car, to do a lot of different things. It's hard for me to understand how it's, restrictive. I mean, you want people that are registered voters that can back that up with an ID to be able to vote. That's the way it is. I mean, I'm 100% behind that.
One of my favorite things I have seen on Twitter X, excuse me. It's going to be Twitter till the day I die. But one of my favorite things I've seen over the last couple of weeks, somebody asked Olive Garden, they brought back the unlimited pasta pass.
Uh-oh.
You buy this and you can eat pasta until your ears fall off.
Until we close the doors.
Yes, all the pasta all the time. And asked them about being able to let somebody else use it. Olive Garden, the official account, responded by saying, no, the pasta pass is only for the person that purchased it. You will have to show your ID in order to use it at a store. The Olive Garden pasta pass is more secure than voting.
Yeah. Hey, there was a report, there was 6,600 people that voted. I think it was in Georgia.
No, that was in Virginia.
Virginia, yeah. Virginia.
Mikey Sherrill, the newly elected extremely far-left governor, had to stand up there at the press conference and announce that.
And then, so you had people saying, well, 6,600 is not widespread cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still 6,600. One is too many. 6,600, that's what you can find. I mean,
we're going through the progression. That doesn't happen. That's never happened. There were no people that voted illegally. Well, maybe there were a couple, but that was just isolated cases. Well, in this one state, there were 6,600 who were registered to vote, but only 400 of those, as well as we can tell, actually voted. Mm-hmm. Take 400 and multiply it by 50. How many would that be in the country? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it adds up.
I'm sorry, this is a problem. If it exists at all, I don't care if it's one, I don't care how many it is, it's a problem that has to be addressed and being forced to show your ID. But here's the thing you got to remember, we need more than that, because those non-citizens, those illegal aliens who were registered to vote in Virginia, you know how they got registered? It was a software error because in that state, when you go to get an ID or a driver's license, it automatically registers you to vote. Now, these people, these 6,600, marked on the form that they were not a citizen. Yeah, it registered them anyway. So they were there getting an ID and got registered to vote. They had an ID to show when they went to go vote. So just having the ID thing doesn't necessarily eliminate the problem. There are other things that have to be done. That's the purpose of the entire Save America Act. Pieces of it, yeah. A little bit's better than none. But we have to do more than that, because in that case that we're talking about, they literally, by definition, all had an ID they could show to go vote.
It's just beyond me how we've gotten to the part of the debate where, showing an ID is evil. I mean, or requiring someone to show an ID to vote, or it's just this is a problem for a whole party. Half the country roughly is like, no, we don't think this is necessary. Why? I mean, that would be so. You say that this is going to make voting more difficult. Well, shouldn't voting be reserved for those that are citizens of this country? I mean, that's one question I have. Shouldn't voting be reserved for those who are citizens of this country, not just whoever shows up? If you come over for the World Cup and there's an election going on and you want to go vote, I mean, you shouldn't be able to do that.
I did this the other day. You want to start a conversation? You want to start a loud conversation? Suggest that not only should only citizens be allowed to vote, but maybe not all of them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
just throw that out there and just sit back and listen. That's all you have to do. Don't take a stance. Yeah. Don't express your opinion. Just ask the question and sit back and watch. There will be things thrown. There will be words used that you're surprised the pastor knew that one, but he comes out with it anyway. I'm talking about totally hypothetical situation, by the way. But I know this will be a shock. I'm a bit of an instigator at times, but it's fascinating to watch that happen. So if it's that valuable to you, if it's that valuable for every citizen to be allowed to vote, why aren't you that angry about non-citizens being allowed to vote?
Well, and the other side too, and I think you're making a good point, is how many Americans do not vote? Yeah, I mean, like you're registered to vote, you're a citizen of this country, and yet you don't vote. And how many of those folks are the ones complaining? If you don't vote, you shouldn't have any say-so in anything, in my opinion. I mean that, kind of half-hearted, but I mean, if you're not going to participate in the democracy, then you shouldn't have a voice to criticize.
Yeah.
Go vote. I mean, that's the key. Go vote for the people that you think are the best representatives of your wishes, of what you think is best for your community. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. If they represent you the best, go vote. That's the way you change things. You don't change them by complaining. You change it by voting.
Let me ask you this. You bring up a good point. Every so often you have to go renew your driver's license.
That's always fun, yeah.
Why not put the same system in place and you have to renew your voting card, and it's based on how many times you have actually exercised your franchise during that period?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if we're going to be a democracy and we're going to ask people to vote for leaders and vote for change, and I think we need to participate better in this. I mean, Michael Watson, we have him on every time we have an election, and voting numbers aren't as high as we would like, and you ask yourself the question, why? I mean, there's not that many disenfranchised people out there. Is it just laziness? I mean, what is it that makes people go, I really just don't want to vote, but I'm going to complain about it?
The 2024 presidential election, 2 years ago, we've had enough time to get everything counted. Even California has counted all of their ballots by now. The turnout of registered voters was 63.7%, which means you had, what would that be? 36.5% of the people, over a third of the people that could have voted, didn't. Now, when you consider that the record turnout for a presidential election, percentage-wise, was in 2020 with 66.6% of the vote. It's the highest voter turnout we've ever seen. That's how Stumbling Joe got those, how many was it, 6 billion votes? I don't know.
It was in the trillions, I think, yeah.
Yeah. The 2024 election was the highest voter turnout since 2004. And
there's more people.
More than 1 out of 3 registered voters didn't even bother. Now, you look at media, you look at social media, and tell me you get the impression that a full 1/3 of voters in America don't care enough to even vote. That's not the story you're being told. And I think that's doing us a disservice. We need to be studying, and we need to find out why those people don't care.
Exactly. That's my point. I mean, I think that's, you see a lot of money spent on a bunch of dumb things in this country. You know, what we do, we need to figure out why people aren't voting and try to figure out a way to encourage more Americans to vote. If it's because of disenfranchised, you think your vote doesn't matter, you think some illegals taking your vote and canceling it out. What is the reason for this? And what can we do to stop it?
I think you even take the illegals off the table. If you go and cast a vote and you do it several times and what you were promised you were getting in exchange for that vote never materializes,
there you
go. You don't care. Doesn't matter if I vote or not, it's not going to happen anyway. So there's a lot of layers to this, I think. I have no doubt the office line is ringing off the hook right now. We will continue with the final segment of Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk Mississippi.
Mornings with, Zero Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you can go to find out more. A couple of things I just want to clean up. The FDA has revoked the authorization for the petroleum-based dye used to make sausages and orange skins more appealing. They've been brushing oil on your sausage.
Say it ain't so.
No, apparently that's true. It's petroleum based. They're not getting, 30 weight and just putting it on there, but still.
Not gun oil, huh?
No, not yet. We may get to that before it's over with. It depends on how the week goes, I guess. Big, exciting news has come out. As it turns out, a lot of the ads you see from people talking about Polymarket and making all this fantastic money, they're using fake websites that are put up that look exactly like Polymarket to make their ads and show huge wins, and they ain't made squat.
Yeah.
There was one of them that was showing some, I think he had said he had placed a bet whether or not President Trump would say the word McDonald's publicly during the month, and won $100,000. Now, that actual bet would have lost $19,000 from the numbers he was showing, but, still, if we can get you in, we're good. Basically, don't trust anybody. That's the...
Never trust no one.
Never trust nobody. That's exactly right. I do have one other thing I want to leave you with. They have released polling data for potential presidential candidates.
No, I was hoping you'd do. That's the one I was hoping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to go with this. The headline, the bullet point for this story, they say that the leading Republican candidate is J.D. Vance. Not surprising, really, I don't think. And the leading Democratic candidate is Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. Now, there is some good news there. Gavin Newsom is like fourth on the list in this study. But let's stop for just a moment and let's contemplate. Kamala Harris, by the way, is way down the list. Way down the list. She's talking about running, and everybody's going, no. In the Democratic Party, they're going, no, you had your shot and you blew it. But let's talk for a second about Alexander Ocasio-Cortez being the Democratic nominee for president in the next election. Let's talk about the possibility of Miss Where Am I got to know which accent to use, Cortez, being the candidate for president of the United States. Let's go with the top two in this poll and facing off against J.D. Vance. Those debates would be epic.
Goodness.
Because Vance is going to take her apart into tiny component pieces and throw them in the corner. He will demolish her in a debate. It won't even be funny.
I don't think that's even a question, is it?
Well, it's not. I just told a lie. Unless you want to finesse it a little bit, it's not going to be funny. It's going to be hysterical.
She got pretty excited when J.D. Vance, and it was reported to her that J.D. Vance said that AOC was the leading candidate in the Democratic Party. And she goes, well, that's very nice. I hope he is too, as far as the leader on the Republican side. So, I think it would be a dismantling. But it would be fun to watch if, she does get the nomination to bring Kamala back in so that, the bartending and drinking kind of thing, the two sides of the same coin, that would work out really well. That kind of partnership, I think, between the two.
What she's missing, and this to me is a great definition of the difference between J.D. Vance and AOC. One of them realized that strategically the bright thing to do would be to recommend and publicly state that they hope the person they know they would just curb stomp in the election is the nominee. And the other one said, oh, yeah, me too. I hope you're the winner too. Thank you. I appreciate that. No. He's picking on you, and you don't even realize it.
They're being nice to each other right now.
Yeah.
That's not going to last. That'll last pretty long, right?
Yeah, that's a situation with legs right there. My friend, I have enjoyed it as I always do.
Yes, sir, man. I hope you have a wonderful Friday and an enjoyable weekend.
Now, I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. Thanks to Philip Mantle for joining us. I could talk to that man for the next 5 hours if somebody would let me. Also, Brian Hadad, I could talk to him for a considerable amount of time, too, just with frequent breaks for refreshments. SuperTalk this afternoon at 3 o'clock is taken over by SportsTalk from Tampa and SEC Media Days. Make sure you tune in and listen to that. Have yourself a fantastic day. Stay cool. And I'll be back before you know it, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.